YouTube, Droid here, and this is my AFK Wither Skeleton farm design. It uses a unique spawning arrangement to pack a lot of spawning spaces into a small area, crushes all the non-Wither Skeleton mobs, and sends the Wither Skeletons to the Overworld. In this tutorial, I'm not going to build it block for block, since that would take a while and still not teach you how it works. Instead, I'll explain how each part of it works, explain some of the quirks of how to build it, and give you a world download. Let's get started. First off, you're going to want to know where to build this. The first thing you'll have to do is of course find a nether fortress. Virtually any nether fortress should work, as the formation we're looking for is quite common. We're looking for two intersections of this type next to each other. Each intersection has a 3x3 area, and they should have 16 blocks between them. If you find two about this far apart, they're virtually always the right distance apart, because of how fortresses spawn. Each one of these intersections is at the center of a 19x19x10 bounding box, where fortress mobs can spawn, and the two bounding boxes are right next to each other. This gives us a 19x38x10 spawning area to build the farm. It extends 8 blocks out horizontally from the 3x3 center of each intersection, and extends 5 blocks above and below the walking surface of the walkway. The bottom spawning floor should be placed immediately below the bottom of this bounding box, and extends the full 38 block length of the box, although it is thinner than the 19 block width. As with any mob farm, for this farm to work effectively, all spawning spaces within 128 blocks of the farm should be removed. To eliminate spawning spaces, you either have to destroy all spawnable blocks within the perimeter, or cover them all with non-spawnable blocks such as half slabs. In my test world, the perimeter is cleared of all blocks, but in survival half slabs are usually the best option. Now, onto the actual farm. This design packs 5 spawning floors into the 10 block tall area, separated by just 2 blocks thanks to a staggered pattern. Each spawning floor consists of 6 rows of solid blocks, and 6 rows of open fence gates. These rows alternate on each floor, so there are 3 blocks of space on top of each block. Above the top spawning floor, there's a 6th floor, where the solid blocks are replaced by bottom half slabs. This floor simply serves to push mobs off of the top spawning floor. Running along the edges of these floors, with a 1 block gap on one side, are the rows of pistons that shift the floors back and forth. Each of these piston rows has a redstone line running next to it, with special sections to extend the signal without missing any pistons. Each row of pistons is triggered by the row above it 8 redstone ticks later, which gives blazes exactly enough time to fall 2 blocks between each row firing. The half of the pistons with the gap is triggered about 12 redstone ticks after the first, to reset the position of the floors. The first half is triggered in turn by a hopper-dropper clock with 10 items in it, for a total delay of about 8 seconds. This redstone and most of the other redstone in the farm is covered by glass to prevent mobs from spawning on it. Below the bottom spawning floor of the farm is a grating which the mobs fall through when the floors shift. The purpose of this grating is to support vines, which break the fall of the mobs so they don't take fall damage in the funnel. The grating is composed of solid blocks with slabs on top, so the mobs won't spawn on it. The funnel concentrates mobs into a central trench, with rows of pistons. Each row is activated by a tripwire, and powered by a line of redstone that runs its length. The mobs land on half slabs, so that short mobs like baby zombie pigmen will also get pushed. That central trench houses the crusher. This crusher design will only work in version 1.8 and later, as suffocation mechanics changed since 1.7. These glass blocks on top act as an airlock, keeping mobs from jumping out of the crusher or falling through without being crushed. The crusher itself is 2 blocks tall to ensure any mobs shorter than Wither Skeletons are killed. The floor of the crusher is made of glass, and drops out once only Wither Skeletons remain in the crusher. That same row of pistons acts to push the Wither Skeletons into nether portals, except for Wither Skeletons in the very middle, which are pushed through a different portal to avoid the frame between the 2 main portals. The crusher is controlled by a second hopper-dropper clock, this one with 20 items in it for a delay of about 16 seconds. The pulse emitted by that clock is then lengthened, inverted, and sent to all 3 segments of the crusher with different delays. The floor of the crusher retracts first, with just 1 tick of delay. The ceiling retracts second, with 12 ticks of delay. The crusher itself retracts last, with 16 ticks of delay. The entire farm in the nether should be surrounded by a container with a spawn-proof floor. This is because small magma cubes can spawn in the redstone and jump off the farm, and we have to contain and kill them to keep the farm functioning. To kill them, I have an army of iron golems patrolling the container floor. There are probably cheaper ways to kill the magma cubes, but this method is simple to set up and kills them quickly. Now, once you have your nether side portals in place, you have to figure out where to put the overworld portals. Get the coordinates of the farthest portal block from the center by standing in the unlit portal frame and recording the coordinates. Then obtain the overworld counterparts of those coordinates by multiplying the x and z values by 8, leaving the y value the same. Then, in whichever direction the two coordinates differ, move each one 120 blocks towards the center. These are the coordinates where the portals for the skeletons to go through should be built in the overworld. The y value does matter in this case, so make sure that you build the overworld portals at the same y value as the nether side portals. After the wither skeletons go through these portals, they are scared out of the portals by these dogs. They are then tricked into falling into this water stream by exploiting the fact that they think trapdoors are full blocks and don't see carpets at all. They think they can walk across into this open area, but instead they run into a wall of carpets and fall into the stream. The water stream pushes them into the center, where they take a 17 block fall. This fall is far enough to make sure that a single splash potion kills them all, but not far enough to kill them if they took some odd suffocation or fall damage in the nether. You can see that a few pigmen also end up in the kill zone with the skeletons. This is normal, as they actually spawn from the two nether portals and wander into the water stream. They don't pose any problems, since there are only a few of them and they are killed by the same potions that kill the skeletons. And that's it for this tutorial. Check out the world download in the description for details, and feel free to ask me any questions you have. I will see you guys in the next video.
You gotta rise up, you got a second chance to die.